In the 1930s, America's economy collapsed almost overnight, and at the exact same time, years of drought turned the topsoil across the Great Plains to dust that blew away in the wind. So with no jobs and no farmland left, millions of families had only one choice: pack up everything they owned and drive west, hoping California could feed them when home couldn't. In 1936, a sharecropper's widow in Muskogee, Oklahoma, fed 6 children on $1.40 a week. And meal number 7 is how she kept meat on that table alone. In Bakersfield, a retired railroad man lived through that same migration on meal number 1, and nothing else, for 3 years straight. Before we start, subscribe if you want more of these, the meals nobody talks about anymore. Let's count them down. Starting with the one that kept the panhandle standing when nothing else could. 10. Cornmeal mush eaten plain. Cornmeal, water, a little salt if you had it. You boil the water, stir in the meal slow so it doesn't clump, and keep stirring until your arm aches and the pot turns thick as mud. It smells like a barn in autumn, and it sits in your stomach like a stone that keeps you standing. Families in the Panhandle ate it morning and night during the worst years, when a sack of cornmeal ran about 10 cents a pound and stretched further than anything else on the shelf. It wasn't a meal so much as a promise that tomorrow you'd eat again. 9. Canned government relief meat. Canned beef, whatever came in the tin, sometimes onions if a neighbor had extra. You opened the can, fried the meat in its own fat, added the onions if you were lucky enough to have them. The smell filled the whole house, salty and strange, a smell people from that generation still remember decades later. Relief offices handed these cans out by the crate during the mid-1930s, and taking one meant swallowing your pride along with your dinner. Eating it was survival wearing the mask of charity. 8. Day-old bread soaked in coffee. Stale bread, black coffee, nothing else needed. You tear the bread into pieces, drop it in the coffee, let it soften until it's soft enough to eat with a spoon. It tastes bitter and warm, and it fills the hollow place in your chest before the hollow place in your stomach. Old men in boxcars and flop houses across the country ate this for breakfast because coffee was a nickel and bread scraps were free from the back door of any bakery. It was a poor man's proof that he'd start the day anyway. 7. Squirrel or rabbit stew. Squirrel or rabbit, wild onions, whatever root vegetables were in the ground. You skin it, cut it into pieces, and let it simmer for hours with the onions and roots until the meat falls off the bone on its own. It smells like wood smoke and patience, and the broth tastes like something earned rather than bought. This is the widow's meal from the start of this video. When her husband died, the woods became her grocery store, and rabbit was cheaper than pride. Men and women across the Ozarks and the Ouachitas hunted through the 30s because store meat was a luxury few families could reach, and it was proof someone could still provide, even when the whole country said they couldn't. 6. Watered-down milk for children. Milk, water, sometimes a spoon of sugar for the smallest ones. A mother stretched one bottle of milk into 2 by adding water straight from the well, then gave it first to the children, always the children first. It tasted thin and pale, nothing like real milk, but it was cold, and it was hers to give. In tenant farms across the South during the Depression, whole milk cost more than a family could spare, and a mother's whole week could turn on whether she found a way to keep her children from crying with hunger. That watered milk was a mother's arithmetic. Love divided until it covered everyone. 5. Foraged wild greens. Poke salad. Poke greens picked wild, bacon grease if you had it, vinegar to finish. You boil the greens twice, changing the water each time to pull the bitterness out, then fry them soft in the grease. It smells like the woods after rain, and it tastes sharp and green, alive in a way canned food never is. Families in Arkansas and Mississippi picked poke along fence rows and ditches every spring, because it grew free where nothing else would, and free was a word that mattered more than any other that decade. Eating from the earth itself was its own kind of defiance. 4. Government surplus commodity flour biscuits. Surplus flour, lard, water or buttermilk if it was in the house. You cut the lard into the flour with your fingers until it looks like coarse sand. Add the liquid and pat the dough flat with your palm. The biscuits come out of the oven smelling like something close to hope, dense and plain, but warm all the way through. Relief flour arrived stamped and free during the mid-30s, and a woman could turn that government sack into something that felt, for a few minutes, like a kitchen she'd chosen herself. Making biscuits from charity flour was how a family took its dignity back, one batch at a time. 3. Watery potato soup. Potatoes, water, milk if there was any, a little butter if the week had been kind. You peel the potatoes, boil them until they fall apart, and mash them right into the water they cooked in. It smells plain and starchy, comforting in the way only plain things can be, and it fills you slow instead of fast. Potatoes cost about 2 cents a pound through most of the 30s, cheap enough that a family could eat this every night of a bad month and call it dinner instead of desperation. It was thin soup for thin times, and it kept whole families standing. 2. Fried dough, depression fry bread. Flour, water, salt, grease for frying. You mix a plain dough and drop it into hot grease until it puffs and browns on both sides. It crackles when you bite it, that something good was happening in that house. Migrant families on the road to California made this over campfires with whatever flour they'd carried, because it needed no oven and no waiting. It was food you could make with your hands and eat with your hands. Dignity that fit in your palm. 1. Pinto beans and cornbread. Pinto beans, water, salt pork if you had it, cornbread on the side. You soak the beans overnight, boil them slow for hours until they turn soft and the water turns thick. Then bake the cornbread in a hot skillet. It smells like a house that's been cooking all day, and it tastes like something built to last you until morning. This is the railroad man's meal from the start of this video, the one that got him through Bakersfield on beans alone, 3 years running, and never once ran out. This was the meal that got entire counties through the 30s, when a sack of pinto beans ran a few cents a pound and stretched across a week of suppers. It wasn't just dinner, it was proof a family could hold together on almost nothing at all. These meals were never about nutrition, and they were never about budget. A woman standing over a pot for 2 hours with nothing but roots and patience made something a factory in plastic wrap never will. There's a dignity in the first kind that the second one never learned. If a full table feels ordinary to you today, remember that for the widow, the relief workers, and the railroad man you just met, sitting down to eat was the whole day's victory. Pick one meal from this list, just one, and make it this week. Sit at the table, not the couch. Set a real place, even if you're eating alone. Tell me in the comments, would you have chosen the pinto beans and cornbread or the potato soup? These meals were about dignity, and that's still worth cooking for.